Welcome to Neutral Voices. I'm Dr. V, and this is In Depth, where we dig deep in the trenches of what matters. And we have an amazing show for you tonight. But before we get into our show, I want to introduce the guests that will be with us. We have Pastor William Curry, Pastor Clifton Latham, and we have the Queen, Mildred Lopez. And we're going to get into some
why they couldn't be kings.
There we go.
That stuff we're talking about.
I mean, we had it earlier.
We go out the gate.
Listen, I already was trying to figure out, should I say Clift? You know, that was coming to my mind, Clift of Clifton. We're trying to get it right. And so we're going to have some great conversation. And Jay, I'm going to spin it to you.
I just want to say hello to everybody, man. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube page or any of our other social media pages, we ask that you do that, man. When you go to YouTube, please subscribe. Hit that like bear, hit that share so you can get all the notifications when we go live. We love you. We adore you. We appreciate you. Man, tonight's show is going to be awesome. So awesome, man. We ask that you stay with us throughout the entire show just to be educated. We're educating ourselves as we learn and study these things as well. So, Doc B, we got a good show. Let's go ahead and get it.
Yes, we have a good show. Our show tonight is, the title of our show is Stronger Together, but it's about saving our Black family. And so we've been talking throughout the week about the Black man, the Black woman. And so we're going to take it into a different direction. And hopefully we can shed a different light on the conversation and the topic. But before we get into that, I do have a quote I would like to share with you guys. This quote is from a great woman, and it says, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. That was from Harriet Tubman.
Amen.
Yes, and that's for men and women.
Yes.
So as we get into this conversation, I want to give you some facts, and I'm glad that James said that this is in depth, and we do give a little bit more information, and we dig deep, and so we want to give you some statistics to think about, some facts about the U.S. Black population. Mm-hmm. Now watch this. We're always talking about the men and the women, and you know there's more women to men. There's actually 19.9 million Black men in America, and 22 million Black females. And so my question is, how did that happen? You know, I'm just saying, we got a lot more men than women, but do we really? I'm saying, because nowadays, when I think about this, I'm saying we don't really know what the facts are. Right. Because there's some people now that don't identify as women. So how do you really come to the real numbers? Right. And I really don't think that, we never know where these things come from. Because think about it, we always hear there's so many more women to men, right, especially in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Right? They said you don't want to go there single as far as being a Black woman. You definitely don't want to go to Atlanta, Georgia looking for a man. So, but with that, thinking about this, more Black women, I would say, or this, to the sister, it's okay if you end up single. There's a strong possibility that could happen. So you have to be okay with that. Some other things, as far as education, the Black woman age 25 and older, these are some now we don't know if they completed, but here's some other stats. 59% of Black women attended college, 24% earned a bachelor's degree, and then less than 13% actually got a high school diploma. But now let's compare that to Black men. Black men 25 and older attended college. 50% of Black men attended. I wish we knew if they actually completed. Same for women. And 19% actually has a bachelor's degree. And then their number, less than 15%, actually got a high school diploma. So when you hear those numbers and you think about man to woman, since that's what we've been talking about. Yeah.
We're going to get into that a little bit more, but to go with your statistics, since 2010, the incarceration rate by race, by sex, and by ethnicity per 100,000 people in the United States. For white males, for every 100,000 people, 678 are incarcerated. For white females, for every 100,000, there's 91 white females that are incarcerated. Now, here's some numbers for you. Pay attention to these numbers. For every 100,000 black men, 4,347 are incarcerated.
Man.
For black women, 260 per every 100,000 people are incarcerated. Hispanics, 1,775 people are incarcerated for every 100,000 people. For Hispanic women, it's 133 women per 100,000 people. Now,
Those numbers don't sound right. When you look at the number of black men compared to
everything else,
everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
black men, you can add all the rest of them up, and you won't have the number
this
of black
total.
men that it has about black men.
And so then when I'm looking at the 19.9 million that I spoke about, something's still wrong here.
Something very wrong.
So I need to subtract this number from the 19?
They may not be counted.
Right.
Serious division.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
The family suffers greatly when the black male is the target, which takes him out of the home, jobs, and society. According to the data center of kidscount.org, research shows that in 2015, 66% or 6,333,000 African American children were parented by a single parent. Of course, this doesn't mean that both parents are not sharing the responsibility of raising their child. But at this rate, there's an alarming number of children not having a biological two-parent home experience. The child has to adapt to two homes, maybe with step-parents or even with step-siblings. Yet, there are many children who will never experience having both biological parents to share in their livelihood. More than not, mothers are the main source of raising children, which means fathers are the common absent parent for most children who grow up in single-parent homes.
Now, I think we want to have a little tiny bit of discussion with that.
Yeah. My thing is, and this is where it gets convoluted, or it makes it seem worse than where it is. When they say that just because they're not married, that does not mean that two parents are not in a household sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
People are not getting married at the rates that they used to.
Right.
They just are making domestic partnerships. I think that's the term of it
And
right
cohabiting, which is
Yeah.
without the actual marriage certificate.
now. Yeah. So,
Yes, I think that's a
that number
valid
is a little bit
point.
skewed right there.
Absolutely. And
Good
that's how
point,
come-
C-Stats.
Yeah, I was going to say that's very valid observation, and that's one thing we have to keep in mind when we start getting into numbers. Everything's not reported, so
Right.
this is the best we got, right?
Yeah.
So from my perspective here, as we move through this, I would say on this panel, I'm just asking: Do all of you come from a double parent,
No.
mom, dad?
I do.
No.
Yes. I do. I come from. Do you think that it actually makes a major difference as you look over like people you know or your life? Did you miss something, or did you feel like you had a better life because you had two parents?
I think sometimes you can have two parents and still only one parent is present. I can't speak on a one-parent household other than myself being
Yes.
a single parent. I mean, the father's in the picture 24/7, but I am considered to be what statistically they would say is a single parent. But my parents have been married for nearly, 50 years.
Yeah, and so I bring that to the forefront because we're talking about being stronger together. And so when we look at that, where do we start as far as building that strength?
Right.
So that's something that we want to get into as we move further. According to the Census Bureau from 1960 and 2013, African-American children who lived in single-parent homes more than doubled from 22% to 55%. The same research showed that white children from single-parent homes tripled from 7% to 22%. In 2020, there were about 4.25 million black families in the United States with a single mother.
Man.
See what I mean? That's a big number. And so, how do we look at that? And especially when we start digging into crime, and did she do,
Right.
a good job? Did she have any support outside of the home? Because we always saying, go find a man, find a mentor, find an uncle, find a pastor, etc. So, but looking at that, and that's just in 2020.
Right.
The family suffers greatly when the black male is targeted, which takes him out of the equation. 73% of the African American children are born without out of wedlock. Things are intentional is like the prison pipeline, social, economic, and racism, the parole, probation, the systematic systems that's set in place for us. So I mean,
some things that we've talked about,
talked about
in
a lot.
some of our other shows, and so I think when we put that in a nutshell, those are some things that we know that those things matter when it comes to building a village, building the family
Right.
structure, and a stronger home.
Right, and I know we're going to get deeper into this, but I think it would be fair to say that intentionally it has been, historically and intentionally federally mandated to destruct the black family from long ago to now. So I mean, all of these things. I found some other statistics actually that said imprisoned people, these women with imprisoned spouses, for example, pay an average $13,607 in court-related costs. 1 out of 5 families were unable to afford housing expenses due to their partner's incarceration. So all of that, I believe, is intentional.
Okay, so I have a question, and I want to direct this to, if it's okay, can I get in the room?
Come in the room.
I just want to know if a gentleman, Mildred,
Yes, ma'am.
are you guys in there?
We
We
here.
are here.
Okay. I just want to pose this question, and either person could address this. Is the black man his own issue nowadays?
Well, this is Pastor Curry. I would say to that question, yes and no. Yes, because if we don't accept responsibility of what we do, then yes, we become our own issue. No, in that there's things that's presented to us that we have no control over. Like we talk about systematic racism. Systems have been put in place that we have no control over. We have control on how we respond and how we react, but at the same token, I can respond and react in an appropriate way and still lose my life.
yes.
So that's what I mean by yes and no.
Okay.
I would have to agree as well. I think that there are certain things that are just designed to put us in a place where we are not set up for success. And as well, I think that those are still choices. A lot of those things are choices. Some things we can't avoid. They're there. We've been trying to escape them for forever, and it seems as if they will always be there. But yet there are things that are put before us, things that are flashed before us on the media, if you will, things that we desire or that we are taught to desire, that we go after, that put us in some of the positions that we're in as well. So I agree, it's yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very, very poignant points.
Okay. And then, so, Queen, did you want to address that?
Well, I wasn't a black man, so I let the
From
the
your
brothers-
perspective, because we've had some good conversation about black men, and you always have something good to say to that. Anything you want to add to that?
I have to agree with both. It's also the choices that they make, but they can't take their skin off. So even when they walk out of the house, they're black. They can't change that. And society looks at them in a certain way. So that's something that's inevitable, no matter the education, no matter whether you're a pastor or a minister or a great leader in our community, people still see you as a black person, a black man. So those connotations of looking down towards a man, questions you when you're trying to do so well, when you're trying to be a better father, trying to be a community leader, and you're still looked down upon because of the color of your skin.
Looked down upon, or if we, as far as ownership, the choices that some men make. And, and we talked about, or somebody accused us of beating up the black man, so to speak, and speaking negative of the black man. And so, but so I'm just saying, so if we be truthful so that we can help someone and help the black man, the choices, what type of choices could be better? What type of choices are they making that may be causing some issues in the community?
Yeah, if I could answer that. But Pastor Curry, you noticed that shot real quick.
Yeah, I see you shot over the bar. I know what she's talking about. I own it. I own it. It's cool.
See,
I'm comfortable in my
see,
skin.
it's true. You got to get it out there.
Yeah.
Exposure.
But as everybody in the room said, choices. We all have choices, but some choices are made for us.
Yeah.
And they're convincing us that we're making those choices. And I say this in this instance. If I'm a 5-year-old black kindergartner starting school this year, they're going to monitor my behavior and they're going to label me. I might be just an energetic young child, but they're going to tell me that I'm learning disabled, I'm ADHD, I'm ADD. So my choices from there, because we accept labels too quickly, my choices from there are going to be predicated on what somebody already deemed me as. And it's going to be hard for me, if I'm always labeled and taught that, to seek better choices, because that's what has been put upon me. So that's why they were saying some of the choices. But then I think Pastor Curry and Pastor Latham hit on this. Now, when we accept that thug mentality, we accept that, I got to be this boss or whatever we want to, we take on this mentality, and we got to be the biggest pimp, we got to be the biggest gangster, we got to be the biggest thing, then those are our intent choices. We choose to live that way. We choose to go that way. So yes, we have to have ownership when we make those decisions, as well as the ones that we can't get past that have been chosen for us.
It's true. So has the black woman become a system itself? I mean, and we can go back to some things. I hate to even mention Sean's name. I hate to do it. But has the black woman become a system?
So I want to respond to this.
Okay.
And I want to say it this way, because I listened to the show, both shows that Sean was on. We'll leave that there. But I believe what should have been said, that the black woman has been weaponized against the black man, not that she is the enemy of the black man.
Clarence, calm down.
And
Calm
the
down.
reason why I say that is because, like we said, the different systems in which that has been put in place, that you either take this without the black man, or you take the black man without this.
Exactly.
And so we are better together, make no doubt about it. We were designed to be together. A woman is designed to be with a man. I believe what I believe. There's nothing nobody can say that will make me believe different. And to the point to where without a man, there's no woman. Without a woman, there's no man. Why do I say that? Because a woman and a man have to come together to produce a child.
It's true.
And so therefore, we need each other. The woman came out of the side of a man, the womb of a man. And so we are designed to be together. We are designed to help one another, help meet, not mate. We don't need buddies. We need someone who's going to complete us. Don't worry, you'll catch you in a minute. But what I'm saying is, the black woman has been weaponized to be a weapon against the black man, but it's not the enemy of the black man. I have 4 sisters. I have a mother. I have a wife. I have 3 daughters, and I don't see them as enemies.
Say it again, Pastor.
Right.
They're not enemies.
Thank you.
Right. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with an independent woman, black or otherwise. Is that right?
There is nothing wrong with an independent woman. Here's the thing, and as me and Mildred was just talking about this, there's nothing wrong with being independent. There's nothing wrong with being passionate. What becomes, to me, in my mind, an issue is that when I've been independent and passionate so long that now it's a badge, it's a defense mechanism, and so I push people away because I really don't want to make myself vulnerable. So we have to make sure that we're not using it as a defense, but it's something that it's good for us, but not pushing people away from us.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Before we get to our next question, Clarence, did you have something that you wanted to say?
I just want to say, Pastor Curry, that's affirmation. We have not had this conversation, but I had said those exact words to everybody on this panel when we had the discussion. When I watched the show when we were in the room, I said that the black woman is not the enemy,
Clarence.
but there has been systems and things that has weaponized the black woman. And watch the show.
We better move on to the next question.
Next question,
we better. Clarence is turning into Pinocchio sitting out here. So the next question, and I'm going to just throw this in the room because you guys have been just grabbing it super quickly. So, what is the role of the man? What is the role of the black man?
I believe that a man should lead. I believe that a man should protect. I believe that the role of the black man is to provide for his family. And I believe that we should stand in our role and by all means necessary fight to maintain our role once we have it. There are many things, as we just stated, that try to keep us from doing that. And I believe ultimately that's what it is, to keep us from being who we are as a man. Even if you think back to slavery times, what they would do to us as black men, they would rape us in front of our wives and our children.
Yes.
My God, when I think about that, this all points to something that is much more to the agenda that we see today. They're just not doing it the same way. So I believe that the role of the man has to be, the role of a black man has to be recaptured because it's been taken away from us in so many instances. And when we get it, we got to hold on to it tight and make sure that we share it with those young upcoming men who are under us, our sons, our nephews, who may not have daddy present or who may not have that relationship. So that's my view.
Beautiful.
And one thing that was said yesterday by Doc V, I'm coming back to you. When you talked about the woman being in the slave master's house, taking care of their children and cleaning the house and everything. What that was designed to do was another form of dominance of the black man. I'm going to take your woman, your queen, I'm going to put her in my house and make her do menial things that I won't even let my wife do.
Wow.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to show the black man that I have dominance over you. And so it's like if we've all, I think, at some point in time watched the movie Life. Whether you're in the house taking care of the kids or you're out in the field picking cotton, we're still in slavery. So Life, you had the guy on there who said, hey, boss, if you sick, I'm sick, right, boss? But he was still in prison, too.
Yep.
So we can't look at one shackles and say this one's shinier and mine is shinier than yours when we still shackled. Because
Absolutely.
we're in the same situation.
Wow.
Absolutely. So here's another question for you guys. So in relationships, a lot of times it seems like the woman, I'll say this from the female perspective, the woman tries to or believes in some way that she can change the man's mindset. What do you think about that? And Mildred, I would like to so many times we get our new boo and we believe that we can make some changes.
Well, that's we talked about this earlier. A lot of times because we're single, because we're raising the kids, and then we finally get a man, now we're trying to mother them, trying to control them. Because I've been the head of the household, so now a man comes in. Now I want him to do what I do and how I do it instead of allowing him to be the man, as you said, to be the provider, to be the protector. But there's a question you skipped that I wanted to address, which was, has the black woman become a system itself? Absolutely. The systems in place have, like Pastor Curry said, they have strings on the women. Either you take this benefit to help your child, whether it's health insurance, food stamps, TANF, whatever the resource is, but you can't have this man living in your house. So they're using the woman, whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic, because now, we talked about this yesterday, there's families that are mixed now. and they work. So we talked about the first week about the vanishing black man, but the systems are using the black woman to push away the black man. So like Pastor Curry said, I don't think we're the enemy, but we're being used in a way of desperation, because as a woman, we're providing for our family. We're protecting our cubs. And if we don't have the black man and they come, now you got to do what I say when I say, and some men can't handle that, so they leave. So now you have, again, a broken home. You guys mentioned earlier about the alarming number of children not having two biological families, but coming from a household of domestic violence, would you rather have two biological family members, a mom and a dad, who beat each other up, who disrespect the child, who abuse the child? So that's a lot of times what we as women have to do when we're in an abusive relationship. We have to leave, not because we don't want to be with the man, but we have to protect the children. Because we don't want
just
that
like
cycle.
the question we had as far as the role of a man, what do you believe the role of the woman is from that same angle? Because it seems like you're already going down that road. So
Can I jump in for a second?
yes,
Because one of the things she just said about the woman, and kudos to every woman that has had to stand in the gap for where a man was lacking, whether it was because of the system, his own choices, or what have you. But I think when it comes time for them to come together, then it's time for conversation. It's time for communication. Me and Pastor Curry were talking in the green room about a lot of this stuff is just simple conversation. And so, yes, you have been put in the role of protector of the cub, as you put it. And when I come in, you don't necessarily know all of my background, because love, no matter how good it feels or whatever, it's blind. And so I don't know who you are. I don't know everything you come with, and I got to protect mine. Right? So that's the mentality. But there has to be some real, genuine conversation about the intent of what this union is supposed to be. And so we can dissect roles and responsibilities. And at the end of the day, if we have a conversation, we can come to an agreement of where the lines are not supposed to be crossed.
Right.
And one piece of that too, because myself and Lady Curry, we're a blended family. And so as she was raising the boys by herself, and she's an independent woman. Trust me, snapping her head and all that. She independent.
Amen.
But the reality is she's a headstrong woman. I'm a headstrong man. And we had to have patience with each other. And I knew when I came in that I wasn't automatically daddy. I had to live up to that standard. But I also had to have patience with her in she allowing me as a man to come in. And I hate to use the word allow.
There you go.
All right. What's
That's
another word for it? Because she didn't.
Yielded?
She yielded. There you go. She yielded to.
She
me
submitted.
She submitted. There
Yes,
you go.
sir.
But either way, whatever word you want to put there, we were able to come to a mutual understanding that I am the man. I'm the head. I am the male role model in the house. And there were instances where we did have a battle, if you will. We've never hit each other. We don't raise our voice at each other. We have not spoken to each other. We've done those things. I'm going to keep it, 100 with you. But at the end of the day, we always came back and we communicated with each other because we were able to listen to hear, not listen to respond.
Right. Yeah. So communication.
that's good, and so that was one of the other points. So does forgiveness? And so when you say that, and you talked about patience, and so forgiveness plays a part in that as well. So being able to move forward and move past whatever that disagreement or issue was. Absolutely. So, so can we rebuild, or is it too late to consider rebuilding the Black family?
It's never too late. The Black family, we are the most marvelous creation God ever made. And I don't take anything away from any other ethnicity.
Yes, sir.
But we have been through so much, yet we still have so much to offer. And so can we rebuild? Sure we can rebuild. We're resilient. We have the tenacity of lions, a lioness. We're rebuilding now. It's not can we? We're doing it.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, and so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just for 1 second. I want to say this because of what you just said. I want to give this quote. This is from Janet Jackson. She says, "I'm convinced that we Black women possess a special, indestructible strength that allows us to not only get down, but to get up, to get through, and to get over." And I would definitely say that applies to the Black man and the Black family.
Yeah, I would agree. And if I could answer, can we rebuild or is it too late? As Pastor Curry illustrated with he and his wife, the problem is, and Eric and Jill were going with the communication. It's not only the communication, it's the power struggle that we have to get through. Doc V, I could come to you and say, we don't agree on everything all the time, but for the greater good, this is how we can make it happen. We got to work together. But the problem is we don't want to yield our power. We don't want to give up our position. A lot of men and women, we think the authority has to be, this way or the other.
You're right.
But for the greater, and I'm not talking in relationship. I'm talking about moving this community forward. We got to have Black men and Black women conversating about how we move forward, and somebody yielding the power and saying, okay, that sounds good. Let's move this way. But we're not doing that.
Right. I was going to say, and that's a good place to start. It's kind of like money. When we put our dollars together, we can do more.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
in order for them to heal to, the power struggle, you first got to have what?
Thank you.
What is
Listen.
the first thing you have to have?
Can I answer your question? We had this
Agreement?
conversation.
What-
We had
what's
this
the
conversation before.
You have to have the
We had this
communication
conversation.
in
Can I
order
talk?
to. I mean, I'm just saying.
Can I talk?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
I told you before we came on the air, I could fully hear and understand what you're saying. I could and take every word that you said, but if I'm not willing to yield or give up something, it has nothing to do with communication.
It does,
That's a
man.
power struggle. No,
First,
E.
Pastor Curry said it good when he said you have to communicate to hear, not to respond.
And again,
So if you don't communicate to hear, you're not going to respond.
Hey, see,
right.
Stats, this is the perfect time to illustrate what you just said a minute ago.
right,
To yield.
the yield. I'm
we can just yield.
Just
it
say
at
that
the-
you're wrong and we'll move forward to the next question.
Let's keep moving.
Just go
I'm
ahead.
never gonna say I'm wrong when I'm right.
Well, here's the cool thing, though. What we're doing now is our neutral voices. We have come collectively and put ourselves out of the way. We're yielding to what the community needs.
Right.
So that way we can rebuild our community, which is rebuilding the families, which is rebuilding the Black man, the Black woman, the Black family, which is putting us in our right place. And so we have our neutral voices who've decided to take the helm, if you will, and it's not made of just Black men, but it's made of Black men and Black women to move forward the Black people. And so the conversations are being had, and in order for us to, again, move the Black race forward, we have to listen to one another. And not listen to respond, but listen to hear.
Yeah. And to take that a step further, too, even what we just said, that yielding, sometimes we hear that word submit, and we think it's such a scary and we think it's such a disrespectful word. That's what it means, just to yield, to be able to listen, like you said, and to value someone else's opinion and consider it, before we just are so selfish and on our own thing.
I like to say something about that. Can we rebuild? A lot of times, as a single parent, single woman, I'm talking on behalf of some of the women that I've known, how can we rebuild when we haven't healed?
This is, yeah.
How can we accept a strong Black man and yield if we haven't healed? As women, as people, even in the aspect of a man. If a man hasn't healed, if he has trauma, if he has things in his past that he hasn't healed from, that's going to carry over to the next relationship. When I talk to single women, they jump from one relationship to another and then wonder, why is it that I'm picking the same type of man? Well, you have to look at yourself. What is it in me that I'm allowing and I'm attracting the same type of man? Well, maybe it's not the man. Maybe it's me that I have to fix.
Now,
So I have to heal.
Mildred's in there ruin it for all of us.
no, Mildred is doing it hot up top. I'm going to give you props. But I agree 100% with what Mildred said, and I'm a flip it. I'm gonna say from a male's perspective. I've been married twice. I was married to a white woman, and I'm married to a black woman. And when I got married to Coletta, I had to have a sit down with myself and said the common denominator, the common factor in this marriage of both is me. Mm-hmm. And until I fix me, I'm going to be divorced again, married again, divorced again, married again. So I had to do some soul searching. I had to do some reflecting. I had to do some self-healing. And I also had to remind myself this, that what happened in my previous marriage, I cannot bring into my current marriage because they're not the same people. Mm-hmm. And I had to have that same conversation with Coletta. The relationships that you had with other men, don't bring that on me because I'm not them. Mm-hmm. Right. And there's sometimes it may look like I'm doing something that they did, but until I do it, don't put it on me. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it comes down to that self-healing. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
That's great. That's good.
Listen, I know we have another question. E, you have a question?
So what does God say about the role of a man and a woman?
As I sit next to two pastors.
Well, I'll say this. There's a few things that God says about, the role of a man and a woman. I always, when I call it the marriage talk. I don't call it marriage counseling because it seems that it's such a derogatory statement. You already need counseling. We ain't ever married yet. Not that counseling is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I give it a different name. And I talked to him about Ephesians 5, 21, said, wives, submit to your husband. But I always go to, that's 22. I always go to 21, where it says, husband and wives submit to one another in the fear of God. Mm-hmm. To where we are supposed to we're supposed to yield to each other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what marriage is. Mm-hmm. And so the role of a man, as I see it, as I believe it, as I understand it, if you look at Adam and Eve, and I know everybody is not a believer in Christ, but I can only give you what I got. Yeah. And so Adam's job was to provide and protect. Eve's job was to nurture and to love. Mm-hmm. But because they became one flesh, they were all four. Mm-hmm. So you had balance, you had provision, you had protection, you had nurturing, you had love. And without them, we are missing some things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not that a woman can't provide and protect if she has to. Mm-hmm. It's not that a man can't love and nurture if he has to. Mm-hmm. But we were created to do these things. Yeah. The Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. He finds favor with the Lord. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I found Coletta, I found favor. Yeah. Mm. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, that's beautiful. And I love that you put that way because that's kind of like when we were talking about a woman standing in a certain position, not trying to be the leader, but certain situations she has to be the leader. So I love that you shared that.
I like, as we're asking, what does God say about marriage? I think it puts the perspective of the value of a woman. It says, then the Lord God said. Mm-hmm. He says that it's not good for man to be alone. Mm-hmm. And he said, I will make a helper for him. Mm-hmm. So that speaks to the fact that it's meant for us to be together. Right. Like we should not want to stand alone. And what does God say? The role is for us to help, or for the woman to help the man. The woman is the weaker vessel, not just meaning that she can't do anything, but again, like we just got through talking about, just the makeup of a woman. There's just certain things naturally that a man can do. Listen, women are strong. Let me say this. I can't imagine trying to push out a baby.
No, exactly.
So, hey, y'all the goats for that. You know what I mean? And so that speaks to the very strength of a woman. Mm-hmm. But by God's design, she's supposed to help, support a man. And I believe that she can find everything that she need, or bring everything that she has to help him meet whatever God wants to do through them. Again, even to go there, we both are the bride of Christ. Correct. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So we both have to submit to him. So it's not just like a man being so dominant over a woman. If it's going to be in order, they both have to submit to Christ. And I think sometimes we undervalue what it costs for a man to love a woman.
Right.
Right? We have to die. It says, love your wife like Christ loved the church. He died for her. And I think you can't talk about these roles without talking about love. It says that love covers a multitude of sin, a multitude of fault. And so we have to be patient with one another. We have to stand by each other. We have to understand love remembers no wrong. We talked about forgiveness earlier. I know it sounds good when we say it from a biblical standpoint. It is a little more tough in the natural to do that. But I think we have to be willing to love. He says, for God so loved the world. He so loved. He was willing to love. And that's what we have to do as well.
Wow, I love that. And so I believe our time is up. And so as we get ready to close, I want to leave on this note. This is one of the things I want to leave with. So starting into a new relationship and knowing and wanting to love and being patient and all of these things, we talked about something that was kind of funny at the beginning before we got to the show. We were talking about if you were actually getting ready to start a new relationship, what warning label would you actually tag on yourself? And so I just want to hear from a few people to see what labels would you put on yourself to help get this relationship started down the right path? Because truth helps.
Are you throwing it in here?
Yeah, let's go. Let's start in the black velvet room.
You know, what the pastor says is great, but there's one thing that we forget. Not everybody believes in God.
Right.
And the Bible talks about us not being unequally yoked.
Right.
So a lot of times when the families don't
Yeah.
can't be rebuilt, it's because there's something missing and the center is Christ. So if I had a warning label and I was dating, proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution.
Lord have mercy.
I'm being honest. I'm
Okay, I love that.
I'm a handful.
I love
No,
that.
there's
And
nothing
you're-
wrong. It's
you
not.
know, I'm a handful.
It's nothing wrong with proceeding with caution. Believe you me, I get it.
Pastor Curry, you got one?
If I was to start single again, no, I don't have
No warning label.
no warning label.
Marine.
Marine.
U.S. Marine.
Yeah, that is a warning label within itself.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. What about?
I guess as I think, mine would have to be, I just have to warn that I love hard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So
All
don't
right.
play with my love. Don't. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, panel.
Yeah.
Mine, I have to agree with Mildred. Mine would have to be proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution.
You
We
can't
do
take
already.
Mildred's.
Okay. Well, mine would be handled with care. E, you have one?
Stubborn.
He just puts it as a whole thing.
Break glass in emergency. Jay Scott, you quiet. You with us? You still here?
Oh yeah, nice and calm.
Nice and calm. All right. I love it.
Yes.
Well, so thank you guys for hanging out with
OMV.
us.
Thank you all.
OMV.
Yes.
Yes. O&V.
That's OMV in the
I'm
room.
sorry.
OMV.
OMV,
Our
yeah.
neutral voices.
Our
Well-
neutral voices. Yep.
Okay, I think I hear. Are you guys saying something in the?
Yeah,
black-
our neutral voices coming. We're here.
We're
like
here.
I said, we're taking
Yes.
our rightful position as kings and queens, black kings, black queens in our community. And so make sure you support, because we can only do it with you. And this is actually a community drive, not just an individual drive. Because we want to look back and say what we did, not what I did. It's a us thing.
Working together works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know you guys did mention something about OMV earlier, but is there any call to action that the community should be aware of at this moment?
There's always a call to action.
Okay.
We need them to move. We need them to support.
Yes.
As we are growing forward in the different programs and purchasing a building and entities. So it's not just us doing it for the community, but we're going to need the community to do it for themselves. And so there's ways that we're going to put out that you can give, that you can support and be a part of. We don't just want your financial support. We need it. We want it, but we also want your prayers.
Yes.
We also want your
time.
skills, your time. Again, we can only be a bigger and better people if we, the people, do bigger and better. So it's going to take us doing it. And so I always say it this way. You know what's important to you where you spend your time and your money. And so, if the community is important to you, we need your time and we need your money.
Right.
Our need your voices, because it's important to us. We want you to be important to you.
Yes. And I'll leave you with this final quote. We are all one, and if we don't know it, we'll learn it the hard way. And that's Bayard Rustin. This is Neutral Voices, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Voice of the People. Thank you.